The outcast healer, the twin moons of Nexoria, cast silver light across the crystalline spires of the capital city. In the shadows beneath these magnificent towers lived Marcus Reed, a human who had once been a respected medic on Earth. Now he was nothing more than a beggar. Scraping together meals from scraps and sleeping in abandoned alcoves, the Zephyrians towered above him as he walked through the market district. Their translucent skin shimmered with bioluminescent patterns that shifted with their emotions. To them, humans were curiosities at best, pests at worst. Marcus had learned to keep his head down and move quickly through their world. Human. Filth spat a merchant as Marcus passed too close to his stall of exotic fruits. The alien skin flashed angry red patterns. Your kind brings disease and chaos. Marcus said nothing. He had heard it all before. 3 years ago, he had arrived on Nexoria as part of a medical exchange program, eager to learn about alien healing techniques. Instead, he discovered that the Zephyrians considered human medicine primitive and dangerous. When several patients died under his care due to complications he couldn't have foreseen, he was branded a fraud and cast out. The sound of marching feet echoed through the narrow streets. Marcus pressed himself against a wall as a squad of the Royal Guard approached. Their armor gleamed like liquid starlight, and their weapons hummed with energy. At their head marched Captain Theron, a massive Zephyrian whose skin permanently glowed a cold blue. There, Theron pointed directly at Marcus, the human plague-bringer. Before Marcus could react, energy nets wrapped around his body. The world spun as he was lifted from the ground and carried through the streets. Citizens gathered to watch, their skin patterns flickering with excitement and fear. "The Queen is dying," Theron announced to the crowd, "and this creature's curse is the cause." Marcus's heart sank. Queen Seraphina, the most beautiful and beloved ruler in Zephyrian history, was ill. He had heard whispers in the market, seen the worried expressions on faces throughout the city. But he had no idea they would blame him. The royal palace rose before them like a mountain of living crystal. Its walls pulsed with soft light, responding to the emotions of those within. As they carried Marcus through the grand entrance, the walls flickered with dark, troubled hues. They dragged him through corridors lined with portraits of ancient queens. Each painting showed rulers with the characteristic grace of the Zephyrian nobility. Tall, elegant, with flowing hair that seemed to move with its own inner light. Marcus had only seen Queen Seraphina from a distance during public ceremonies, but her beauty was legendary even among humans. The throne room doors opened with a sound like singing crystal. Inside, the air itself seemed to shimmer with grief. Courtiers lined the walls, their skin patterns muted and sorrowful. At the center of the room, on a floating platform of pure energy, lay Queen Seraphina. Marcus gasped despite himself. Even dying, she was the most stunning being he had ever seen. Her skin was nearly transparent, revealing the delicate network of light that flowed through her body like liquid starlight. Her hair, normally a cascade of silver fire, lay dull and lifeless around her face. Her breathing was shallow, labored. "Behold the human who cursed our queen," Theron announced. Throwing Marcus to his knees before the platform, Princess Celestine knelt beside her mother's bed. She was younger than the queen, but shared her ethereal beauty. Her skin glowed with soft patterns of distress as she looked up at Marcus with eyes like liquid moonlight. "Mother grows weaker by the hour," Celestine said, her voice like music even in grief. "Your healers say there is no cure for this plague." Marcus studied the queen from where he knelt. Even bound and accused, his medical training took over. He noticed the particular pallor of her skin, the way her light patterns flickered in specific rhythms, the subtle tremor in her hands. "This is no plague," Marcus said quietly. The room erupted in angry voices. Theron's skin blazed with fury. "Silence, human. Your lies will not save you." But Princess Celestine raised her hand. "Let him speak." Marcus looked directly at the dying queen. "Your Majesty, this is not a contagious disease. This is genetic something in your bloodline that has finally manifested. I've seen similar conditions in human patients." "Impossible," declared the court physician, an ancient Zephyrian, whose skin had long ago settled into permanent patterns of authority. Our medicine is far superior to your primitive human techniques. Then why is she dying? Marcus asked simply. The question hung in the air like a challenge. Princess Celestine's eyes met his, and for a moment, Marcus saw hope flicker in their depths. She had her mother's beauty, but something more, fierce intelligence that reminded him of the brilliant colleagues he had worked with on Earth. What would you need to save her? Celestine asked quietly. I would need to examine her properly, Marcus replied, and I would need access to certain rare minerals found only in the deep caverns of Nexoria. But most importantly, I would need you to trust me. Captain Theron stepped forward, his weapon charged and ready. The human seeks to finish what he started. We should execute him now. Queen Seraphine's eyes fluttered open. Her voice was barely a whisper, but it carried the absolute authority of centuries of rule. Bring him closer. Marcus was hauled to his feet and pushed toward the floating platform. Up close, he could see the delicate tracery of her circulatory system, the way her internal light was dimming with each passing moment. His healer's instincts took over completely. Your Majesty, he said softly, may I? She nodded weakly. Marcus reached out and gently touched her wrist. Feeling for the pulse that was so different from a human's yet followed patterns he recognized. Her skin was cool, too cool, and her life force was indeed fading. You're not wrong, she whispered, so quietly only he could hear. I felt this coming for months. Something changing inside me. Their eyes met, and Marcus felt something unexpected, a connection that transcended species, transcended the circumstances that had brought them together. She was not just a queen dying of a mysterious illness. She was a person who needed his help. I can save you, he promised. But it will not be easy. The royal summons, the crystal walls of Queen Seraphine's private chambers pulsed with soft, assorted light as Marcus was escorted inside under heavy guard. Captain Theron stood rigid beside the entrance, his bioluminescent patterns flashing with barely contained hostility. Every few moments, his hand drifted toward his weapon. Leave us. Queen Seraphina commanded weakly from her bed of floating energy crystals. Your Majesty, Theron protested. It is not safe, I said, leave us. Despite her weakness, her voice carried the absolute authority of generations of rulers. All of you, except Princess Celestine. The guards filed out reluctantly, but Theron lingered. I will remain just outside, Your Majesty. At the first sign of treachery, ... quotes. He fixed Marcus with a threatening stare before finally departing. Princess Celestine moved to stand beside her mother's bed. In the soft light of the chamber, her beauty was even more striking. Her skin glowed with patterns Marcus was beginning to recognize: concern, hope, and something else he couldn't quite identify. Now Queen Seraphina said, struggling to sit up, examine me properly. Human healer. Marcus approached carefully. Your Majesty, I need you to understand, my methods may seem strange to you. Human medicine often involves physical examination in ways your people might find ... intimate. Celestine's skin patterns shifted to a warm golden hue. We trust you, she said simply. Marcus began his examination. His hands gentle but thorough as he checked the queen's pulse points, lymph nodes, and the delicate gill slits behind her ears that processed atmospheric energy. Her skin was incredibly soft, almost like silk, and he could feel the failing rhythm of her internal energy systems. Tell me about your family history, Marcus said as he worked. Have any of your bloodline experienced similar symptoms? My great-grandmother Seraphina replied thoughtfully. She died young, under mysterious circumstances. The court records called it a wasting disease, and your mother died in childbirth with me. But she had been growing weak for months before. ... Marcus nodded, his suspicions confirming. This is definitely genetic. Your body's ability to process and store bioluminescent energy is deteriorating. On Earth, we would call it a metabolic disorder. Princess Celestine leaned closer, fascinated. But our physicians said it was impossible to cure because they're treating it as a disease rather than a genetic condition, Marcus explained. He looked directly into the queen's eyes. They were the color of deep space, with flecks of starlight. Your Majesty, with respect, your people's medicine is incredibly advanced in many ways. But you focus so heavily on energy-based healing that you've overlooked biochemical solutions. As he spoke, Marcus found himself lost in those cosmic eyes. There was wisdom there, and pain, but also something that made his heart race. He had to remind himself that she was not just a patient, she was royalty. And he was still technically a prisoner. "What do you need?" Seraphina asked, and her voice was softer now. It's almost intimate. "Nexorium crystals from the deep caverns," Marcus replied. "When properly processed, they can be used to create a supplement that will restore your body's energy processing capabilities." The Forbidden Cur, the underground passages beneath the royal palace, were older than the city above, carved from living rock that still hummed with ancient energy. Princess Celestine led the way through twisting corridors, her skin providing natural illumination in the darkness. Marcus followed close behind, carrying supplies in a pack that felt impossibly light thanks to Zephyrian technology. The deep caverns lie beyond the Whispering Falls, Celestine explained as they walked. Her voice echoed softly in the confined space. "My people consider them cursed, but I used to explore them as a child. Wasn't that dangerous?" Marcus asked. Celestine's skin patterns shifted to warm amber embarrassment mixed with fond memory. "I was a rebellious princess. My mother used to worry constantly about my adventures. They emerged from the passages onto a cliff, overlooking a vast underground lake. Phosphorescent organisms in the water created patterns like liquid starlight, and the sound of distant waterfalls filled the air. The beauty of it took Marcus's breath away. "Your world is incredible," he said softly. "Our world," Celestine corrected. "You belong here now, whether my people accept it or not." They made their way along narrow ledges carved into the cliff face. More than once, Marcus felt Celestine's steadying hand when loose rocks shifted beneath his feet. Her touch was warm and reassuring, and he found himself grateful for more than just the physical support. "Tell me about your life before Nexoria," she said as they climbed. "What was it like on Earth?" "Simpler in some ways," Marcus replied, "but also lonelier. I spent so much time focused on my work that I never really connected with anyone. Coming here, even with all the hardships, has taught me what I was missing." "What were you missing?" Marcus glanced at her, noting how the bioluminescent patterns on her skin had shifted to soft, curious spirals. "Purpose. Real connection with someone who understands me." Their eyes met in the phosphorescent glow, and Celestine's patterns brightened. "I understand," she said quietly. "I have been lonely too, despite being surrounded by courtiers and suitors. None of them ever saw me as more than a political alliance." They reached the entrance to the deep caverns just as the sound of pursuit echoed behind them. Torches flared in the distance. Captain Theron had discovered their absence. "This way." Quickly, Celestine urged, pulling Marcus into the cavern mouth. The temperature dropped immediately, and strange sounds echoed from the depths. Marcus could hear the skittering of claws on stone, the rustle of unseen wings, and deeper, more ominous rumbles that spoke of creatures best left undisturbed. "Stay close," Celestine whispered, her skin dimming to avoid attracting attention. They navigated through chambers filled with crystal, formations that sang softly when the air moved past them. In one vast space, creatures that looked like living jewels hung from the ceiling, their faceted bodies catching and reflecting the minimal light. Marcus marveled at the alien beauty of it all. But Celestine kept them moving. "The Nexorium crystals grow in the deepest chamber," she explained. "But we must pass through the territory of the Shadow Hunters first," as if summoned by her words. A low growl echoed through the caverns. Red eyes appeared in the darkness to many eyes, moving with predatory grace. "Shadow Hunters," Celestine breathed, her skin flaring bright with alarm. The creatures emerged from the darkness like nightmares given form. They were sleek and deadly, with multiple limbs and teeth that gleamed like obsidian. Marcus counted at least 6 of them, circling with intelligent malice. "Can we fight them?" Marcus asked, pulling out the energy weapon Celestine had given him. Not all of them, she replied grimly. Then her expression changed, becoming determined. But I know something they don't. Before Marcus could ask what she meant, Celestine did something extraordinary. Her entire body flared with brilliant light, brighter than he had ever seen from a Zephyrian. The shadow hunters hissed and recoiled, their eyes dilating painfully. They hunt by darkness, she explained through gritted teeth. But I can burn brighter than they can bear. The effort was clearly exhausting her. But she maintained the blazing luminescence as they ran deeper into the caverns. The shadow hunters followed at a distance, snarling in frustration but unable to approach the searing light. Finally, they reached a chamber where the walls were lined with veins of pure Nexorium crystal. The formations pulsed with their own inner light, creating a rainbow symphony of color. But Celestine's energy was flagging, her light beginning to dim. I can't maintain this much longer, she gasped. Marcus quickly began, harvesting the crystals they needed, his hands working efficiently despite the pressure. As he worked, he was acutely aware of Celestine beside him. Her breathing labored from the exertion of protecting them both. Almost there, he encouraged her, a shadow hunter, bolder than the others, crept closer as Celestine's light continued to fade. It was massive, easily, twice the size of its companions, with scars that spoke of countless battles. Its red eyes fixed on Marcus with hungry intelligence. Marcus, Celestine warned weakly. The creature lunged. Marcus spun, energy weapon firing, but the blast only grazed the hunter's flank. It struck him with bone-crushing force, sending him sprawling across the crystal formations. The Nexorium samples scattered across the cavern floor. Celestine's light flared one final time as she threw herself between Marcus and the creature. No, she cried. The shadow hunter's claws raked across her shoulder, drawing luminescent blood that glowed like liquid starlight. She cried out in pain, and her light finally failed completely in the sudden darkness. Marcus felt something primal awaken within him. This incredible woman had risked everything to help him save her mother, and now she was hurt because of his mission. Rage and protectiveness surged through him like nothing he had ever experienced. He lunged at the shadow hunter with nothing but his bare hands and desperate courage. The creature was stronger, faster, and better armed. But Marcus fought with the fury of a man protecting someone he was rapidly. When Celestine's light returned, dimmer now, but steady, she found Marcus kneeling beside the defeated creature, breathing hard and bleeding from several wounds. The Nexorium crystals lay scattered around them, glowing softly in her renewed illumination. "Are you hurt?" he asked immediately, moving to examine her shoulder. "It's not serious," she assured him, though her skin patterns showed pain. "Are you?" Instead of answering, Marcus gently touched the wound on her shoulder. His hands were trembling not from the fight, but from the realization of how much she had come to mean to him in such a short time. "You saved my life," he said softly. "And you saved mine," she replied. Their faces were very close now, her breath warm against his cheek. Marcus, i.e., the sound of approaching voices interrupted them. Captain Theron had found their trail. They gathered the Nexorium crystals quickly and fled deeper into the caverns, their hearts racing from more than just the physical exertion as they found a hidden passage that would lead them back to the surface. Marcus realized that something fundamental had changed between them. They were no longer just a human healer and an alien princess working together. They were something more, something that transcended the boundaries of their different worlds. The cure for Queen Seraphina was within reach. But Marcus found himself wondering if he had discovered something even more precious in the depths of Nexoria's forbidden caverns. The healing touched on was breaking over. Nexoria's crystal spires when Marcus and Princess Celestine finally returned to the royal palace. Their clothes were torn, they bore the marks of their underground battle. But they carried with them the precious Nexorium crystals that could save the queen's life. Captain Theron was waiting with a full contingent of guards, his bioluminescent patterns blazing with fury. "Princess Celestine, you have endangered yourself and violated direct orders by stand down." "Theron," came a weak voice from the palace entrance. Queen Seraphina stood in the doorway, supported by her attendants. Even in her weakened state, she commanded absolute authority. Her cosmic eyes found Marcus immediately, and he saw relief flood her features when she confirmed he was alive and unharmed. "Mother, you should not be out of bed," Celestine protested. Rushing to her side, "I could not rest while you were in danger," Seraphina replied, her gaze still locked on Marcus. "Both of you." Marcus felt that familiar warmth spread through him at her attention. During the long journey through the caverns, he had thought about her, constantly worried about her deteriorating condition, but also remembering the electric touch of her hand, the way she had looked at him with something deeper than gratitude. "We have the crystals." "Your Majesty," he said, holding up the glowing samples, "but I need time to process them properly. The procedure to create the cure is delicate." "Use my laboratory," she commanded. "Take whatever you need." Captain Theron stepped forward, his pattern still flashing with anger. "Your Majesty, I must protest. This human has led our princess into mortal danger. He cannot be trusted. He can be trusted with my life," Seraphina said firmly, "and with my daughter's life. That is more trust than I have given to anyone in years." The words sent a thrill through Marcus that he tried to suppress. He caught Celestine watching him with knowing patterns of amusement. She had noticed his reaction to her mother's declaration in the royal laboratory. Marcus worked with intense focus, while Princess Celestine assisted him. The Nexorium crystals had to be ground to specific consistencies, then combined with other minerals in precise proportions. One mistake could create a poison instead of a cure. "Your hands are shaking," Celestine observed as Marcus worked. "The responsibility," Marcus admitted. "If I fail, ... you won't fail," she said with absolute confidence. "I have watched you work. You have the hands of a true healer." As the hours passed, Marcus found himself increasingly aware of the Queen's presence. She had insisted on staying in the laboratory despite her weakness, watching every step of the process with intelligent interest. Occasionally, their eyes would meet, and Marcus would feel that strange energy pass between them again. In human medicine, he explained as he worked, "We often find that the body wants to heal itself. We just need to provide the right conditions. Your people understand something mine have forgotten," Seraphina said softly. "The connection between body and spirit." Finally, as the second moon reached its zenith, the cure was ready. It glowed with a soft, pearlescent light that seemed to pulse in rhythm with Seraphine's heartbeat. "Your Majesty," Marcus said formally, "I must warn you, this has never been tested on a Zephyrian. There are risks." Seraphina moved closer to him, so close that he could see the intricate patterns of light that flowed beneath her translucent skin. "I trust you," she said simply. She settled onto the medical platform while Marcus prepared the delivery system. The cure had to be introduced directly into her circulatory system through the delicate energy channels that ran beneath her skin. It required him to touch her in ways that were considered highly intimate among her people. "Are you certain about this, Your Majesty?" Marcus asked, his voice rough with unexpected emotion. Instead of answering directly, Seraphina reached up and placed her hand against his cheek. Her palm was warm and soft, and he felt that electric connection surge between them stronger than ever. "Before, my name is Seraphina," she reminded him gently. "And yes, I am certain." Marcus began the procedure, his hands steady and professional despite the turbulence in his heart. He worked with delicate precision, guiding the cure through her energy pathways while monitoring her vital signs. But as he worked, he became increasingly aware of her eyes on him, trusting, grateful, and something more. "Marcus," she whispered as the cure took effect, her internal light beginning to brighten and stabilize. "Yes, thank you." For everything, the moment stretched between them, charged with unspoken feelings. Marcus found himself leaning closer, drawn by something he couldn't resist. Seraphine's eyes fluttered closed, her lips parting slightly. ... The procedure is working," Princess Celestine announced, breaking the spell. "Mother, your energy levels are stabilizing." Marcus pulled back, his professional composure reasserting itself. But he could see in Seraphine's eyes that she had felt it too, that moment when healer and patient had almost become something more. The cure worked exactly as Marcus had hoped. Within hours, Queen Seraphine's color returned to normal. Her internal light blazed with healthy vigor, and her strength began to return. But the effort of creating and administering the cure had drained Marcus completely. He collapsed beside the medical platform, his body finally succumbing to exhaustion. When he awoke, he found himself in a luxurious chamber he didn't recognize. Soft light filtered through crystal windows, and the air carried the scent of alien flowers. Most importantly, Princess Celestine sat beside his bed, her skin patterns showing relief and affection. "You have been unconscious for 2 days," she informed him. Mother was frantic with worry. "Is she well?" Marcus asked immediately. "See for yourself," came a familiar voice. Queen Seraphina entered the chamber, and Marcus gasped at the transformation. She moved with fluid grace, her skin glowing with vibrant health, her hair flowing like liquid starlight. She was more beautiful than ever. But what took his breath away was the way she looked at him with unmistakable love. "You saved me," she said, settling beside his bed. "But more than that, you have shown me something I thought I would never experience." "Your Majesty," Marcus managed, his voice hoarse. "Seraphina," she corrected again, taking his hand in both of hers. "You've shown me what it means to trust someone completely. To feel. To feel something I have no words for in either of our languages." Marcus felt his heart racing. "I feel it too," he admitted. "But you are a queen, and I am. You are the man who saved my life," she interrupted. "The man who risked everything for someone who is nothing more than a patient. You are brave and kind, and ... double quotes. She hesitated, her skin patterns shifting to soft, warm hues. "And I find myself caring for you in ways that have nothing to do with gratitude." The admission hung in the air between them, like a bridge waiting to be crossed. Marcus looked into her cosmic eyes and saw his own feelings reflected there: wonder, attraction, and the beginning of something that could transform both their worlds. But outside the chamber, Captain Theron paced in frustration, and the Zephyrian court buzzed with rumors about their queen's relationship with the human healer. The path ahead would not be easy, but as Marcus looked at Seraphine's radiant face, he knew that some things were worth fighting for. Love conquers all. The royal court of Nexoria had never been more divided. In the 3 weeks since Queen Seraphine's miraculous recovery, whispers filled every corridor of the palace. The human who had saved their beloved queen was now living within the royal quarters, serving as her personal physician. But rumors spoke of something far more scandalous than a professional relationship. Marcus stood on the balcony of his new chambers, watching the twin moons rise over the crystal city. His life had transformed beyond recognition, but he knew that the most difficult challenges still lay ahead. Behind him, soft footsteps approached. He had learned to recognize Seraphine's graceful walk. "The Council of Lords demands an audience tomorrow," she said. Even now, fully recovered, she stood close enough that he could feel the warmth radiating from her luminescent skin. "They want me gone," Marcus said simply. "Some of them." "Yes." Seraphine's patterns shifted to troubled hues. "They believe a human has no place in the royal court, regardless of what you have done for me." Marcus turned to face her, studying the delicate beauty of her features in the moonlight. Over the past weeks, their relationship had deepened beyond anything he had thought possible. They spent hours talking about everything: medicine, philosophy, their dreams for the future. More than once, they had shared moments of intimacy that had left them both breathless and confused about where the boundaries lay between them. "Maybe they're right," Marcus said quietly. "Maybe I should leave before this damages your reign." Seraphine's skin flared bright with alarm, her patterns shifting to the deep blues and purples that indicated strong emotion. "No," she said firmly. "I will not lose you. Not after ... double quotes. She hesitated, then stepped even closer. "Not after I have finally found someone who sees me as more than just a queen." The space between them seemed to crackle with energy. Marcus reached out slowly, giving her every opportunity to pull away, and gently touched her face. Her skin was impossibly soft, and where his fingers made contact, both of their hearts began to race. "Seraphina," he whispered, "what are we doing?" "Something that terrifies me," she admitted, her voice barely audible. Something wonderful, before either of them could second-guess the moment their lips met. The kiss was electric. Literally, Marcus felt the gentle surge of her bioluminescent energy as their bodies connected. Her skin blazed brighter, creating patterns of light he had never seen before. Spirals of gold and silver that spoke of joy and desire. When they finally broke apart, both were breathing hard. Seraphine's eyes were wide with wonder and something that looked like relief. "I have never felt anything like that," she confessed. "Neither have I," Marcus replied, still holding her face gently. "But Seraphina, your people will have to accept that their queen has chosen love over politics," she interrupted with newfound determination. The next morning brought the confrontation Marcus had been dreading. The Council of Lords assembled in the Great Hall, their bioluminescent patterns formal and stern. Captain Theron stood at their head, his skin blazing with righteous indignation. "Your Majesty, Lord Vorthen," the eldest council member began formally, "we must address the situation with the human." Queen Seraphina entered the hall with Marcus at her side, Princess Celestine following close behind. She wore her most formal robes. Her bearing was every inch the regal ruler she had been born to be. "Speak freely," she commanded, "Captain." Theron stepped forward. "Your Majesty, this human has overstepped his bounds. He has taken advantage of your gratitude to insinuate himself into positions of trust and intimacy that no outsider should hold. For the good of the realm, he must be exiled." Murmurs of agreement rippled through the assembled nobles. But Princess Celestine moved to stand beside Marcus, her own patterns blazing with defiance. "Captain Theron speaks of the good of the realm," she said clearly. "But who among you has done more for this realm than Marcus Reed? He saved our queen's life when all of our vaunted Zephyrian medicine had failed." "The princess speaks the truth," added Lord Kythera, a younger,